You're listening to Unseen Scars, where we narrate anonymous stories shared with us from people who need to be heard. Today's story is about a particular kind of emotional manipulation, one that makes you question your own mind. It comes from a man who started to believe he was losing his memory, all because the person he loved kept changing the past. Okay, so I don't know if this is the right place for this, but I have to write it down. I feel like I'm going insane, except maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm finally getting sane. It's hard to tell the difference right now. My girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend, I guess, moved out 6 weeks ago, and for the first 5 of those weeks, I was a wreck. Crying, not eating, the whole pathetic cliche. Convinced I'd ruined the best thing in my life because I was so forgetful, so argumentative, so difficult. That's what she said. I was difficult. But this last week has been different. The fog is starting to lift. And the more it lifts, the angrier I get. Because I'm starting to think my memory is just fine. Her name was Jenna. We were together for 3 years, lived together for 2. I'm 29, I'm a graphic designer. My job is literally about details. Pixel-perfect alignment, hexadecimal color codes, remembering client feedback from a meeting 3 weeks ago. I have a good memory. I thought I did. I know I do. But with her, I was a different person. I was an idiot, a space cadet, an unreliable narrator of my own life. It didn't start out that way. Of course it didn't. In the beginning, it was amazing. We met at a friend's barbecue. She had this laugh that made you want to do anything just to hear it again. She worked in marketing. She was smart, quick-witted. We talked for hours that first night, about stupid stuff, about everything. I remember she was drinking a local IPA and complaining about how they always make them too hoppy. I remember I was eating a burger that was way too rare, but I didn't want to stop talking to her to go put it back on the grill. See? Details. I remember them. We moved fast. Within a year, we had an apartment together. A little one-bedroom with a leaky faucet and a balcony that overlooked a dumpster. But it was ours. We bought a hideous green couch from a secondhand store and called it the avocado. We had routines. Sunday mornings were for the farmer's market, followed by me making pancakes while she brewed coffee that was always way too strong. It was good. It was really, really good. I don't know exactly when the cracks started. They weren't cracks, really. They were more like hairline fractures, tiny things you could easily ignore. The first time I remember feeling that specific brand of confusion was about 6 months after we moved in. We were supposed to go to my coworker's engagement party on a Saturday night. We'd talked about it all week. I'd picked up my suit from the dry cleaners on Thursday. I reminded her Friday morning, "Hey, don't forget we've got Kevin's party tomorrow night." She said, "Yep, got it." Saturday comes. I'm getting ready around 6 p.m., putting on my shirt, and she walks into the bedroom in sweatpants holding a tub of ice cream. She just looks at me. "Where are you going?" I laughed. Kevin's party? The one we've been talking about all week?" And she just stared at me with this blank, slightly pitying look. "What are you talking about? That's next Saturday." I was sure it wasn't. I pulled up the Evite on my phone. "No, Jenna, look, it's tonight, October 14th. She glanced at it, then shook her head, spooning some ice cream into her mouth. "Weird. You definitely told me it was the 21st. I even put it in my calendar." She pulled out her phone and showed me her calendar app. Sure enough, there it was. Kevin's party on the 21st. She sighed, like I was this huge inconvenience. "Well, I've already settled in for the night. I've had a crazy week. I'm exhausted. You never told me it was tonight." The conversation just spiraled from there. It wasn't a fight, not really. It was a negation. My reality was just denied. Jenna, I literally said it this morning. No, you didn't. I would have remembered that. I did. I was standing right by the coffee maker. You must be thinking of another day. You're getting so stressed lately. You're getting things mixed up. I ended up going alone, feeling like an asshole. I felt guilty. I sat there at the party, nursing a beer, thinking, wow, I really stressed her out. I must have mumbled it, or she didn't hear me. I should have made sure she knew. I apologized to her when I got home. I was the one who said sorry. That was the template. That became the pattern. It would be small things. Hey, did you remember to pick up milk? You didn't ask me to get milk. Yes, I did. I texted you this afternoon. I'd pull up my phone. The text wouldn't be there. I'd stare at the screen, my heart pounding. Did I dream it? Did I type it out and forget to hit send? My brain would scramble for a rational explanation because the alternative, that she was lying about something so stupidly insignificant, was unthinkable. It had to be me. I must be getting forgetful. Another time, we were having dinner with her friends. Her friend, Sarah, asked about our upcoming trip to the coast. I mentioned how excited I was to finally go kayaking, something I'd been wanting to do for ages. Jenna laughed, a light, airy, dismissive laugh. Oh, you hate kayaking. Don't you remember that time we went in college and you flipped over and swore you'd never do it again? Everyone chuckled. I just sat there, completely bewildered. I've never been kayaking in my life, I said quietly. Yes, you have, she insisted, still smiling. Don't be silly. It was at that lake near my parents' house. You were complaining about the water being cold the whole time. She told the story with such vivid detail. The color of the kayak, the way I yelped when I fell in. Her friends were laughing along, and I was just frozen. It never happened. I have never, ever been kayaking. But in that moment, in that restaurant, I was the crazy one. I was the one misremembering my own life. I started to think, did that happen? Was I drunk? Is there a whole memory I've just blocked out? I felt a genuine spike of panic. What if my memory was actually failing? It got worse. The stakes got higher. It moved from forgotten milk and imaginary kayaking trips to serious conversations. We'd have a talk about something important, finances, our future, a problem we were having. We'd agree on a solution. I'd feel relieved, like we were on the same page. A week later, I'd bring it up. Hey, so following up on our chat last Tuesday about the credit card? And she'd give me that same look, that blank, confused, slightly concerned look. What chat? We never talked about that. And my whole world would tilt on its axis. Yes, we did. We were sitting on the avocado right after dinner. You said you agreed we needed to pay it down before we could think about saving for a house. No, I really don't think we had that conversation, babe. I would remember that. You brought it up a few months ago, but we never finished talking about it. Are you sure you're not mixing things up again? Mixing things up again. That became her favorite phrase. The worst part is that I started to believe her. How could I not? This was the woman I loved, the person I shared a bed with. Why would she lie about these things? It made no sense. The only logical conclusion was that I was the problem. I was overworked, stressed. My brain was short-circuiting. I actually made an appointment with my doctor. I was 28 years old, and I sat in his office and told him I was worried about early onset dementia. I told him I was having serious memory lapses, forgetting entire conversations. He was kind, but baffled. He ran some basic cognitive tests. I aced them. He told me it was probably stress and that I should try to get more sleep and maybe take up meditation. I went home and told Jenna. She hugged me, stroking my hair. See, I told you. You just take on too much, my love. You need to let me help you remember things. And she did. She became my external hard drive. She'd manage our social calendar. She'd remind me of things I'd supposedly forgotten. She'd finish my sentences, correct my stories. And every time she did, it was like a small validation of my own brokenness and a confirmation of her role as my patient, loving caretaker. It felt like she was protecting me from my own faulty mind. I felt so grateful and so deeply, deeply ashamed of myself. Our fights changed. They used to be about actual issues. Now they were about the existence of the issue itself. Every disagreement began with me trying to prove that the event in question had actually occurred. I was constantly on the defensive, trying to validate my own reality. It was exhausting. I gave up most of the time. It was easier to just accept her version of events. It was easier to apologize for being forgetful and move on. The love was still there, or I thought it was. In between these confusing, reality-bending moments, she was the Jenna I fell in love with. We'd laugh until we cried watching stupid videos. She'd bring me soup when I was sick. She'd hold my hand during movies. The good times were so good that they made the bad times feel my fault. If I could just get my act together, if my memory wasn't so shot, then everything would be perfect. I was the one ruining it. I was the difficult one. My friends noticed a change in me. My best friend, Mark, pulled me aside one night when we were out for a beer. He said, "Dude, are you okay? You seem jumpy, and you second-guess everything you say." I tried to laugh it off. Just tired, man. Work's been crazy. But he was right. I'd lost all my confidence. At work, I started recording meetings on my phone just so I could play them back and make sure I remembered the client feedback correctly. I wrote everything down in a notebook, obsessively. Little lists of things I had to do, conversations I'd had. My life became a process of constant, anxious documentation. The breaking point wasn't some big, dramatic explosion. It was quiet and stupid. It was about a set of keys. We have a spare key to our apartment that we keep in a little magnetic box under the wheel well of my car for emergencies. 2 months ago, I had to use it because I'd left my keys on my desk at work. I used it, got inside, and immediately put it back in the box. I remember the specific feeling of the cold metal of the car and the satisfying click of the magnet locking into place. I made a mental note to tell Jenna I'd used it. I told her that night as we were brushing our teeth, "Hey, just so you know, I had to use the spare key today. It's back in the box." She nodded, her mouth full of toothpaste. "'Kay." Fast forward to 6 weeks ago. It was a Saturday. We were supposed to drive up to see her parents. She couldn't find her keys. She was tearing the apartment apart, getting more and more frustrated. "Just use the spare. I'll find mine later," she said, exasperated. "Okay," I said, and went out to my car. I felt under the wheel well. Nothing. I checked the other 3. Nothing. The box was gone. My blood ran cold. I went back inside. The spare key isn't there. She stopped dead and just stared at me. "What do you mean it's not there?" "I mean, the box is gone." She put her hands on her hips. "Well, where is it? You were the last one to use it." "I know, and I put it back. I told you I put it back." She let out a short, sharp, humorless laugh. Clearly you didn't, Liam, because it's not there. Jenna, I swear to you, I put it back. I remember doing it. Oh my God, she said, throwing her hands up in the air. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Your memory. You think you put it back, but you obviously didn't. You probably left it on the counter and it got thrown out. Or maybe you dropped it in the parking lot. Who knows? But you lost it. I just stood there, my mind racing. Did I lose it? It felt so real, the memory of putting it back. But here was the proof. The key was gone. My memory was wrong. Again. I was wrong. Again. She was getting angrier. This is such a huge pain, Liam. Now we have to call a locksmith, we have to get the locks changed. That's hundreds of dollars. All because you can't remember to do one simple thing? I felt about 2 inches tall. The shame was suffocating. I was an idiot, a liability. I was costing us hundreds of dollars because my brain was broken. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm so sorry. I really thought I put it back. You always think, she snapped. That's the problem. We didn't go to her parents' house. The day was ruined. The whole weekend was a tense, miserable silence, punctuated by her heavy sighs of disappointment in me. I spent the whole time replaying the memory of putting the key back over and over. It was so clear, but the evidence said otherwise. The evidence always said otherwise. That Sunday night, I couldn't sleep. I was just lying there, staring at the ceiling, feeling this crushing weight of my own incompetence. Jenna was sound asleep next to me. Her purse was on the floor by her side of the bed. I don't know why I did it. I've never gone through her things, ever. But I just had this impulse, a weird, nagging feeling. I slid out of bed, knelt on the floor, and quietly unzipped her purse. I rummaged through it. Receipts, a wallet, lipstick, pens, and then my fingers brushed against a small, cold metal box. The magnetic key box. I pulled it out. I opened it. The spare key was inside. I don't think I've ever felt a stillness like that. The whole world just stopped. The sound of the traffic outside, the hum of the fridge, my own breathing, it all just ceased to exist. All there was this little key in this little box in the palm of my hand. She hadn't been looking for her keys on Saturday. She had them. She was looking for an excuse to use the spare. An excuse to prove, once again, that I was the forgetful one. But why? Why lie about that? Why create this entire elaborate, stressful situation just to make me feel crazy? The cruelty of it was breathtaking. To watch me panic, to berate me, to blame me for a problem she had manufactured from thin air. I put the box back in her purse, zipped it up, and got back into bed. I didn't sleep. I just laid there, rigid, watching the dark ceiling. And I started to reevaluate everything. Every forgotten conversation, every mixed up date, every story she'd corrected. The time she swore I'd agreed to lend her brother $500 and I had no memory of it, but I gave it to him anyway because I trusted her over my own mind. The time she told my family at Christmas that I'd forgotten her birthday the year before, a complete fabrication. I'd thrown her a surprise party, and I was too stunned and embarrassed to correct her in front of everyone. I just sat there while they all gave me disappointed looks. The time about the milk, the engagement party, the kayaking story. It was like a dam broke in my head. All these little inconsistencies, these moments of confusion I had dutifully filed away under my faulty brain, they all came rushing back. But now they looked different. They weren't random memory lapses. They were a pattern, a deliberate, calculated pattern of manipulation. I wasn't losing my mind. I was being driven out of it. The next morning, I was quiet, numb. She was acting like everything was back to normal, all smiles. She made coffee. Hey, so I found my keys. They were in my gym bag the whole time. So silly. She didn't mention the spare. Of course she didn't. I just nodded, I went to work, and I didn't come home. I packed a bag at my office, called Mark, and asked if I could crash on his couch. When she called me that night, her voice syrupy with concern, "Where are you, honey? I was worried." I just said, "I know about the key, Jenna." Silence for a long, long time. Then her voice, cold as ice. "I don't know what you're talking about." And just like that, I was done. I didn't argue, I didn't try to prove it. I just said, "We're over," and I hung up the phone. That was 6 weeks ago. She moved her stuff out while I was at work a few days later. She left a note. It didn't apologize. It just said, "I can't believe you're throwing all this away. I hope you get the help you need." Even in the end, she had to frame it as me being the broken one. So now I'm here, in my apartment that feels too big and too quiet. The stupid green couch is still here. I should probably get rid of it. I'm sorting through 3 years of memories, trying to figure out which ones were real. That's the hardest part. The uncertainty. Did we really have that amazing weekend in that little cabin upstate? Or did I imagine the best parts? Did she ever really love me? Or was I just a project, someone she could control? I hate her. I really, truly do. For making me doubt myself, for making me feel small and stupid and broken. But sometimes, at 3 a.m., I miss her. I miss the person I thought she was. I miss our Sunday morning routine and the smell of her too strong coffee. I miss the weight of her head on my chest. Both are true, the hate and the missing. It's a mess. I'm a mess. I don't know what the point of writing all this was. I guess I just needed to tell someone, to put it out there in the world so it feels real. So I can't let myself believe I imagined it all. My memory is fine. I have to keep telling myself that. My memory is fine. Thank you for sharing this story with us. To everyone out here listening, I really thank you. I will be back with another story soon.